Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us to talk about Bristol City, who have fired their manager Dean Holden. It happened late last night. Thank you for everybody tweeting me. I was already in bed and very much like the Tony Pulis deal, I thought I'll get up and do it in the morning. So here is my reaction to Dean Holden going. There it was, the picture of the corner flag, which never is a good thing for a manager when that one's coming out. 11 PM. I was following Gregor McGregor a little bit as I was getting myself ready for bed last night. And the tweets coming out. This is after Bristol City's latest defeat at home to Reading, where we haven't seen Dean Holden. Dean Holden hasn't come out yet. It's been a while. And then Michelle Owen, we think Dean Holden has gone. So it was in the cards last night, and presumably, well, you would imagine a big organisation like this had outlined this game, perhaps as if a bad result happens, that they were going to pull the trigger. You wouldn't imagine if they'd won 3-0 or something that this would have been done. So it does feel like they were gathered last night at Bristol City, and Dean Holden's fate was sealed, not obviously just by this particular game, but by the run he has been on. The club said Dean Holden has been relieved of his duties with immediate effect following a 6th successive defeat. The Bristol City board have decided that a change of head coach is necessary. Assistant head coaches Paul Simpson and Keith Downing will take charge of training until further notice, not the club. The club would like to thank Dean for his service over the years. We wish him well for the future. So out goes Dean Holden. And we can run this story back to how he came in. That is the 4th of July, and Lee Johnson, who I think had been there, Bristol City fans will correct me in the comment, 4 or 5 seasons, maybe like 4.5 or something, and sort of in the main done pretty well. If memory serves, he took over Bristol City towards the bottom of the division, and sort of up and down, streaky Lee tag, we all know, but generally Bristol City had transitioned into a pretty attractive job, in my opinion, able to challenge the parachute teams in the only way that's possible, developing players, recruiting well, and selling on and raising money. And they'd got to the point where Bobby Reid, Joe Bryan had gone. Who was the central midfielder who went to Burnley, whose name's escaping me? Someone will tell me in the comments. Adam Webster for a huge fee. Lloyd Kelly. God, who was that central midfielder? Left Bristol City for Burnley. Do it in the comments. It'll come to me towards the end of the video. Anyway, they'd recruited well, developed and sold, and looking a pretty attractive job. However, at the bottom there, you can see assistant head coach Dean Holden will take over in a caretaker capacity while the club searches for Johnson's successor. And then, on the 10th of August, and you can see I've put his run of games at the end of the last season there. So 8 points in 5, decent enough. Sort of you'd finished just outside the playoffs, where Bristol City kind of functioned for most of their seasons. But Dean Holden was in the end hired, and it did feel a little bit strange. I remember following it in the summer, and I was literally ready to go on Chris Hughton. I remember strong rumours that he was there for an interview, and, you know, they were going over minutiae. And it did a little bit feel, and this is with no disrespect to Dean Holden, obviously, like they couldn't find anybody who'd interviewed well, perhaps. And did Holden kind of end up with the job? I'm sure he was interviewed, but I don't know. Something didn't quite feel right in the summer about this one. So Holden comes in, and you feel a little bit uncomfortable if you can read those quotes down there. I understand the criticism of the appointment. I'm a mad, passionate football fan myself. Pressure is on me from day one. That is not the circumstances you want to be starting a job in. But you understand from a Bristol City fan's point of view, where you see this lovely big stand being built and the development, and like I say, never having had a parachute payment, but putting yourself in that pack with, say, a Brentford or a Preston, who were able to be a viable top half championship team without that big advantage that the relegated Premier League teams seem to always be able to have. So, in comes Holden. First 12 games, fantastic. Look at that. It was all a bit streaky Lee, I have to say, because they won the first 4 straight, then there was a little losing streak, and then there was a win streak, like, within those first 12 games. But you can't argue with that, only behind 2 relegated teams in Norwich and Bournemouth there, above Watford, the third one. Swansea and Reading, who are having good seasons, are already mobilising. Really good start by Dean Holden. It felt a little bit like, compared to previous windows, they hadn't really managed to sort of push the recruitment envelope. Sorry, that sounded incredibly corporate and cringy, didn't it? But you know what I mean. In ways they had done. It felt a little bit like, where's the big player that they normally sell to raise a ton of money and then retool? I think sort of Alfie Mawson on loan was quite exciting. Chris Martin on a free, well, it's a good signing. But I don't know, Semenyo and Backinson coming through, you'd think will be the next big guys, and they're the ones they want to develop. Perhaps a little bit of a sense that maybe the recruitment of Josh Brownhill, I've just remembered his name, thank you. I don't know who I'm thanking my lucky stars that I remembered his name. I'm sure you've already commented already. Yeah, Josh Brownhill, who went out, was the big sale in the last January. And I think maybe Hanno and Masengo being a bit of a bust. And just a little bit of a sense with COVID and all of those things that they couldn't quite do so much. And maybe that's the reason for the hire of Holden in the first place, that presumably maybe someone like Chris Hughton has turned up and said, okay, I can move you from second quartile into the playoffs. I will need this. Mark Ashton, we can't give that to you. Chris Hughton, okay, perhaps you're going to have to give it to the number 2 from Lee Johnson. So anyway, really, really good first 12 games. But wow, I hadn't realised this was quite so bad. So I then flipped the script, and that is the previous 18 games. And that's very damning, actually. Very damning indeed. So Bristol City, since 25th of November, are the 3rd worst team in terms of points accumulated. However, they won't be that much better than Birmingham when you consider Birmingham have played 2 games fewer. I can't calculate the points per game off the top of my head. But 12 defeats in 18 games, and it became abundantly clear that Dean Holden was slipping and sinking. Bristol City were moving down the table. Obviously, it's not fair to say false position, because you can see they had a really good start and got themselves into 3rd position in the table, but very poor since then. And really, Birmingham and Wycombe are they're essentially the bottom 2 at the moment, aren't they? And they're the ones sliding down the table. Yes, I do understand QPR and Rotherham particularly have had recent good little points. But the point remains that Bristol City would expect to be viably in the top half and not losing 12 in 18 games for sure. So that's what's done for Dean Holden. I just wanted to put those pictures up and say, internal strife. There's Jason Tyndall, fired from Bournemouth after 6 months. Darren Moore, fired from West Brom. Neil Adams from Norwich. The thing they all have in common with Dean Holden, excuse me, is their internal appointments that haven't worked out. And no, I'm not saying that you can never bring someone through and be successful, of course. I'm just saying in recent times in the Championship, these type of appointments have not worked. Now, obviously, I understand the argument, particularly with those three that I've compared to, that they did have parachute money, Norwich, West Brom and Bournemouth, and obviously Tyndall has only recently gone. So the expectations were probably a little bit higher and the clock was probably ticking a little bit faster because, you know, particularly, like take the West Brom example, they gave Darren Moore, Barnes, Gale and Rodriguez, and the second they were not looking like automatic, out Darren Moore went, and then they still spent big on Slaven Bilic's salary to get them up the next season before the parachute payments ran out. Norwich turned to Alex Neil, and Bournemouth are currently looking for their Alex Neil, when Neil Adams, who was apparently Delia Smith's favourite player there as Norwich owner, wasn't working out for him. That was a sort of internal through the club thing. Alex Neil got Norwich up, so read into that what you will. Bournemouth are, as I say, currently looking for their Alex Neil. And there is an issue here with the fact that Bournemouth are looking for a manager at the same time as Bristol City are as well. But it would appear for the next while that an internal appointment may not be that well received by fans of Championship clubs, because it seems to be chewing up and spitting out these type of guys who you don't blame. Dean Holden, Jason Tyndall, Darren Moore, those guys, Neil Adams, excuse me, I forgot the other one, for taking these jobs. But it really does feel a little bit like clubs saying, okay, we'll spin the wheel on this internal guy, and basically, if he's not as good as someone experienced within a short time, then we'll cut our losses and out they go. It does feel a little bit of a no-win situation where it's pretty much, it's not even make the expectations, it's pretty much exceed the expectations or bust, isn't it? It seems to be that way anyway. Who next? Now, that is not the list of Bristol City managers, the odds checker for future Bristol City managers. That is the one for Bournemouth, because I couldn't find one this morning. It's 8:03 while we're filming this. Now, those are the names currently being linked with Bournemouth. So they may be different names that are linked with Bristol City, but it gives you an idea of who wants a Championship job. And of course, the key difference here between Bournemouth and Bristol City is Bournemouth have 3 years of parachute payments. They're in the middle of the first one. Therefore, there will be managers who will look at the Bournemouth job and say, I'll interview for that, and look at the Bristol City job and say, I will not interview for that. I remain steadfast that this is a good job for somebody. Like I said, if I'm a football manager, I want a Premier League job, but there's only 20. So if I can't get a Premier League job, I want a job in the Championship with parachute money because I've got that big advantage. If I can't get that, basically, other than Brentford, I want Bristol City. Preston feels just a little rung lower, although they've recruited equally well. It feels like of the non-parachute clubs in the Championship, Brentford is by far the most attractive, followed by, I think, Bristol City, I would say. So in terms of that tier, I would be very interested. There you go. David Wagner has taken Huddersfield up. That does now feel like a bit of a lightning in a bottle season, doesn't it? John Terry, Jonathan Woodgate, Marco Silva, Eddie Howe. Obviously, Silva and Howe have managed in the Premier League, haven't they? Patrick Vieira, Thierry Henry, Frank Lampard. Just a few of those names are very big names that would want big budgets, etc., etc. Nigel Pearson, Danny Cowley. I suspect if I'm a Paul Cook or a Danny Cowley type, I've worked in the Championship before. I'd be thinking, well, wouldn't you, Eddie Howe, bigger name, worked in the Premier League, Marco Silva, Frank Lampard, wouldn't they be more looking at Bournemouth? And I'd be thinking, if I were a Paul Cook or a Danny Cowley, Nigel Pearson, Nigel Pearson's the only one there, David Wagner, who's been promoted out of the Championship. Eddie Howe obviously has, of course, with Bournemouth. But we think he's in the running for maybe that higher tier Premier League job or parachute job. So they're the names. I mean, you know, stick your finger in the air. Which way's the wind blowing? Who knows what the Bristol City hierarchy want? Who knows what any of those bosses want? I think it's a good job. Other than again, I repeat, other than the parachute team or Brentford, nice stadium, big catchment area and potential. Have recruited well. If they've banked some of that money, yes, of course, it's a struggle against the parachute teams with FFP until that's sorted out. But I think it's a good job that people would be interested in. You tell me, does Bournemouth being available at the same time prejudice, you know, Bristol City and getting a good guy? Are they in the same market? Who next? You let me know. And there is the 2020-21 Roll of Honour or Dishonour. So Ivic out of Watford now, Tyndall out of Bournemouth, Harris out of Cardiff, Struber, I guess he sort of walked out, didn't he? Out of Bristol City, Barnsley. Holden out of Bristol City, obviously, is the one we're talking about now. Koku out of Derby, Lamucci out of Forest, and Sheffield Wednesday with 2, Gary Monk and Tony Pulis, bringing us to a total of 9 Championship managers who were, I can't say in situ at the start of the season because Pulis came and went within weeks, but how can I word this? 9 Championship managers who've been in jobs who are no longer in jobs. And that does us. Robins sack Holden last night. So give me your opinions in the comments. I mean, it's quite simple, really. Give me your view on Dean Holden, the hire, the job he did. Give me your view on the decision to get shot of him. And that is all kind of elementary because he's gone now. Give me your view on what Bristol City should do and who would be a good fit, and can they get one of the bigger names that may want a bit more of a spend, or is it going to have to be a seasoned Championship experienced guy? Let me know what you think. Obviously, all our goodwill to Dean Holden and good luck to him getting back into the game. I don't know if there's an opening at Sunderland, if Lee Johnson will still work with him there, but we'll see what transpires. Never like to see anyone struggling or losing their job, but I'm sure he'll get work again in the future. With all of that being said, thank you very much for watching. Loads of content on the channel very, very regularly. We'll be here at 1 PM actually, live streaming, reviewing. We'll talk about this a bit more, I guess, because we'll be reviewing all of last night's games, including Bristol City 0, Reading 2. So make sure you hit subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom. And if you really want to get involved, there is patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom if you want to support the work I do on this channel. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And get your views in the comments on Dean Holden out from Bristol City. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.